I'm Corey Kareem.
I'm Angelina Williams.
And make sure to check out our Hidden Figures series
on A Different World podcast.
Yeah. The podcast where we thrive on having disruptive conversations about sex, politics, religion, and everything else in between. I'm your host, Corey Kareem, alongside to the lovely
Angelina Williams.
And we have a special guest, and I'm super excited to have on here, who's known as a visual specialist visual communicator, around the city of Toronto. And he's here a part of our episode, continuing on with our series around Black History Month or beyond Black History Month.
Because Black 365.
Because it's 365 days a year, not just 1 month of the year. Our earlier episodes, we featured Dr. Lara Gotha, who's an OBGYN. We also had Amoy Henry, who's a successful entrepreneur in the city. And we also had Dr. Kareem Morant, who's a cardiologist. And now we have the ultimate visual communicator, Mr. Mark Stoddart.
Woo!
So Mark, for the guests that are tuning in on our YouTube channel, right, or listening on Spotify, whatever platform, who is Mark Stoddart?
Who is Mark Stoddart? Mark Stoddart is a community activist, storyteller, a guy that wants to leave his legacy, leave his mark. That's his name.
Yeah, for sure.
So, just finding new ways to actually share stories in the best way I can while I'm here.
Yeah, I'm really actually happy that we have you on the show.
You're not nervous about that?
No, I'm cool now.
His presence is felt.
No, I'm happy to have you on the show simply because something we talked a lot about is, again, the idea of beyond Black History Month. We had some really great, talented people on, but, a conversation we're having, it's not just February. And I've always had a bit of a resistance to the notion of Black History Month because I feel like our history should be talked about and celebrated beyond just the 28 days of a month. And I felt that with all that we've discussed and the work that you do in particular, talking about our living legends and the legends of our past would be such a wonderful bookend to this series and arguably continue the conversation further. I actually came to know you with the T-shirts with the fists. That iconic campaign. But where did this all start?
Started from...
Don't say the bottom. Sorry, cheesy joke, corny joke.
It worked. But it started from Scarborough. It started from high school, graduating. I started my first T-shirt, and that first T-shirt was the movie that came out last year, the Black Panther, T'Challa. Created that image with the continent of Africa behind him. I did it with a group of my friends, close friends. We called ourselves a brotherhood. And we wore those shirts in Caribana when it was on university. And just wearing that with pride and almost feeling like an instant celebrity coming up the subway through university, and you see thousands of people, then you come out with this unique T-shirt. People thought, who the hell are you guys? And we had our nicknames on the back of the shirts.
So your jerseys kind of...
No, it's a regular T-shirt, but it's just our nickname. So at that time, they called me Picasso.
Pretty.
Yeah, at that, because everybody knew there's two things. It was art or basketball or soccer. But those are the three things that kind of kept me out of trouble. And just wearing that on university just sparked a level of community, like I said, consciousness, and being a part of something. And that kind of spun into, I can actually do more of these stuff and start creating more shirts after another shirt. And it's always been that kind of driving force or the anchor to who I am. It's always been being creative, and through that canvas is a T-shirt.
Right. Now, visual creator, what does that, or visual communicator, visual communicator, what does that mean?
For myself, I think that we as artists or anything with a blessing or a gift, we always feel that we kind of boxed in what that gift is, and I feel that you could actually expand upon that. And I've always thought that visual communicator for me as an artist is that I'm not labeled as a graphic designer or the web designer or the guy who does video or web design. there's different layers of transferable skills that I pretty much obtained that I can utilize on all different mediums.
Right.
So I thought that using the visual communicator allows that to be a little bit more, can expand upon like water. There's liquid that can move into other things.
Yeah.
Allows you to be fluid.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about your slogan, or one of your slogans at least. Educate, empower, and unite. Now those words were instilled in you at a very young age. So what does that mean to the people out there that doesn't understand the meaning behind those words for you?
And again, that evolved. Everything builds, but for me, it was just the level of my story that it's always been educational, right? And within that, I want to empower the people, empower the minds. And the end goal is uniting all of our souls into one. So it's educate, empower, unite. So, like I said, this was learning steps of building, kind of figuring who you are or what you speak to. You know what I mean? Your brand.
Yeah. What I love about your brand, as you put it, I've seen it like everywhere. In the sense that I remember going to the AGO, or was it the it was the AGO, and seeing this amazing collage series that you did. There's even a Converse event that happened down by Distilleries a few years back, and seeing your pieces there. Everybody knows you from Afrofest and our community events too, but it's not just solely for community-based events. You kind of take our message beyond that, which is really, really dope.
Yeah, it transcends. I think that as a storyteller, you have to reach all different forms of people, and just to have the ability of blatantly not putting it in your face, but actually allowing people to observe what's there, but there's layers to it.
Right.
And it becomes a conversational piece. Right. I think you're doing a service to the people in the way of telling those stories in the right way.
Where did the fist come from?
Wow, that's a good question. The fist, iconically, has always been a fist of resistance. And that's been a global symbol for a lot of people. For me, I was moved by it in the 60s. The civil rights movement was being used with the Black Panthers. And I always knew that I was gravitated to that. And I thought that somehow I want to embody that in a way of telling that story in my own way. And just creating it and then seeing where it is now, I'm like totally surreal.
Next level.
It is, but again, you never know. Just plant the seed, allow it to grow, allow it to manifest itself, and allow it just to connect with the other people who appreciate what you're doing, and it's working till this day.
For sure, absolutely. It's interesting because the first piece that I purchased was that T-shirt. I mean,
with it being just black with no colors to it.
Yeah, just the black. Just the black one, and like that was in such high demand. It was kind of crazy. I guess I'm a little bit of a late adapter where that was concerned, because I got one and someone stole it. But it was a T-shirt I wore regularly, and it was kind of me being in the industry that I was in. I wanted to wear it as a punctuation of who I am. So I definitely felt it came with a strong representation. I remember I wore it one year to Fashion Week, and someone said, "Oh yeah, your picture got captured in the Globe and Mail with you wearing this Lee T-shirt." It made me feel really good. It was definitely a conversation thing. It definitely made people's heads turn. But to kind of get into a space where there's very few of us there and make a point of making a statement, I love that T-shirt allowed me to do that in
subliminally.
Yeah, definitely. It was awesome. So thank you for that contribution.
With respects to talking about the fist, the John Carlos collection, like. Few different things I'm thinking about. Like, how did that idea come about? Like, what was like the aha moment for you where you're like, I want this, I'm going to use John Carlos as kind of the anchor around this collection, this line that you were coming about? Like, how did that come about, that process?
I'll get to that part. I'll get to the aha moment for me is when we did a book tour with Dr. Carlos. This is now building a relationship with Dr. C.
Okay.
And we went back to England. That's where I'm from, England.
Okay.
I'm born in Nottingham, where Robin Hood resides. It just kind of ties in because even with Dr. C, his childhood hero was Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Right? And to be going back home and bringing my hero back to see his hero is kind of the aha moment you're asking about.
Got it.
And when we're in England, I think we're in London. And we're just having lunch, and we're just looking over I don't know what the bridge was, but we're just there, just chilling, waiting for the next interview. And he taps me and shows, could you ever believe seeing yourself with me back home? And I had to take that in and like, holy, I'm not going to swear, but I was like, man, he's so right. Like, you never know what you ask for, right? The universe aligns things to happen. And that was the aha moment. But again, it's the planting of that idea was knowing that that moment happened in '68, having that poster on my wall, and just seeing it, knowing what they stood for and what they went through. Right. But even growing up, I didn't know what they really went through, but I just knew that was that moment that we all can be drawn to of a level of resistance. And knowing the moment, not knowing the history behind that moment, but then building my moment and connecting it and not knowing the history and how it aligns, it's surreal. It's one of those moments I still up to now. I don't try to think too much about it, but it's one of those things like, holy crap, I'm actually here with it. But an iconic legend who actually made a statement that it's around, it's bigger than him.
What I find crazy about it, you said, so you had a poster in your room of Dr. John Carlos.
The three of them.
And then years later, you end up working with him. I think that's like...
It's almost like you create those the vision boards.
Right.
Not knowing that what you actually projecting or thinking about it actually comes to reality. Yeah. I have a testament for that.
When you think about your clothing, I mean, people kind of think fashion is just whatever. Fashion's not like a big deal. It's frivolous. It's superficial. But you have made fashion a statement, a political statement, very consciously, right? So what do you hope to happen with Liwi, with the collection that you're producing? What do you want to see happen in your community through your artwork, through your wearable artwork?
Well, it's like with any person who here on this earth, you want to leave something that's an imprint, something that's timeless. It's like creating music. Like you hear Bob Marley, or you hear even from I'm going back to rock and roll, like say Led Zeppelin, or things that have a timeless sound to it. I think art has the same ability visually that you can actually impact people or a statement. Going back to what you said in 1968 with the three of them, Peter Norman, the Australian runner, who came in second, and Dr. Carlos, who came in third. All of them going through that tunnel, they knew what they were going to do.
Oh, they did know that they were going to do.
Most definitely. Oh yeah, they knew that they were unsettled of what's been happening, and they wanted to make some form of a statement. And again, they just grabbed any artifacts that they had at that moment to put together, and let's figure out how we're going to make that statement that resonates throughout the world. So Peter Norman knew what Tommy and Dr. C was going to do, and he wanted to be part of it. And so if you take some time again and you look at the context of that story, all three of them were wearing a badge. And that badge is the Olympic Prize for Human Rights. Not just for black rights, but for everybody. And Peter wanted to be part of that. He had an ultimate sacrifice what he went through in Australia in making that statement. So they wore the button. Dr. C, when you look at it again, the photo, he had his jacket unzipped for the blue-collar workers around the world. Just to show about that, because the protocol said to keep exactly zipped up, but he said not. He refused and left it open just to honor that. Dr. C wore beads for the lynchings that are happening around the world, especially in the United States, of course. And then, of course, the iconic gloves.
Right.
Tommy had the left. No, I'm sorry, Dr. C had the left. Tommy Smith at the right. And if you look at those symbolisms, it tells that story even more stronger. So it's not just that glove; it's all about those other layers behind that.
Right.
And again, the socks, they took off the shoes, and the shoes that they were wearing were Puma. And they brought those to the stage, and obviously had their black socks, right? Talking about the poverty around the world.
Wow. So it was so despite what the film that I watched was saying, it was very much orchestrated.
Oh, most definitely. But I think it's the whole thing about the narrative. Who's controlling the narrative?
For sure. Right. Very true.
So
very
so
true.
we always come back to those. I hear them all the time. I don't jump in all the time. I used to be that guy. I said, no, you got to check your history. But some people, they want to have it on their lens. Or then they switch it and then show like the more of the white perspective. how Peter was involved and being
Yeah.
involved in doing something. But it wasn't just like that.
Yeah.
So everybody trying to hold their own story behind it.
Right.
And the two people that are still alive have to kind of reinforce what was all about.
What really happened. And so you started touring with him with the book. I know
early 2011.
Right, and you actually brought him here to Toronto.
Oh man, yeah.
That was really amazing. You and I have had many conversations about his reception, and even to this day, this man has sacrificed so much, and still some people are having a challenging time.
That's understandable because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Of what's going on, right? But it's love when it comes full circle again when you see like activists today, like the Colin Kaepernicks of the world, speaking out and tying in those stories together. So it still keeps you relevant. So we ask about why do art? It's all about connecting the stories that are still going to be relevant. Like I said, history doesn't repeat itself. It's people repeat history, right? So it's happening again, and we all have to keep hitting on the nail with what are the events, what we need to do, informing people, educating people, empowering people, uniting people.
Right. So I saw on your social media that you have some pictures of Cap.
Yeah.
What was it like working with him?
I haven't worked with him, but the opportunity. That picture with Dr. King and Malcolm X, they shook their hand, that iconic picture.
Yeah.
That's that moment to me. Bringing those two heroes together at one spot at that time was kind of crazy for me because I'm glad to be there.
Right.
And I'll give you a little nugget for this situation. To the story, it was Young Turks that Francis Maxwell. He's a great ally, great writer, and his post that he talks about, and he was an advocate for Colin. And Instagram today, like I always feel, if you know how to use the Instagram or the social media world, you can really connect with people. And you talk about hit them in the DM. It actually can come to reality if you do it in the right way, the right attention. So I knew his following, and so I just said, you know what, let me just try. I sent him a note. I said, I appreciate what you're doing, brother. I see that you're connected with Cap. And I said I would send him a care package. I packed up all my stuff, what I had, and I sent it to him. It could have been, you never know what's going to happen. You know, they're going to wear it, give it to their homie, to the side, whatever it is. But he took it. He acknowledged back that he liked it. He wore it. He took pictures, posted it. Okay, cool.
Wow.
All right. Now I can just manifest that idea, build on that. And we created a real organic friendship.
So, you DM Cap?
No. Not Cap. So to get to Cap, you have to get to the person, the sources behind Cap, right? So I went to Francis, who had a relationship with Cap's people. So it was just one of those things that just happened that we just built this organic friendship.
Right.
And that year, 2 years ago, it's 2 years now, we were in New York, and Dr. C wanted to meet Kaepernick. But as to his pull, his connections, it wasn't working out at this moment. It's going to happen, we just didn't know when.
Right.
So I said to him, I have a friend that I met that wants to meet you. Want to try this angle? He goes, all right, give him a call. Let's see what happens. So we called him up. This guy was totally shocked that it's actually happened. So he's like on the phone, like actually talking to Dr. Carlos. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I'm going to cut this white wings, how this plays out.
Yeah.
So Dr. Carlos, you know what? If you want to meet with me, you meet me. I'm in New York. Cap's in New York. Make the connection.
Right.
So within the hour, whatever, 2 people make the calls, and then there we are. That picture that you see with all of us together, that's how it happened.
Legendary.
So that picture, I always think of Malcolm X and Dr. King. That's when you see two icons connecting at that first time. And I was kind of a part of that to make the glue behind that. So it's a little history thing there for myself. So it was kind of cool.
Now, as a visual communicator, you've been working in the community within Toronto for quite some time now. What's the biggest change you've seen from when you first got started to now, today?
The youth. I think the level of consciousness of when I was growing up, when we had like the PEs of the world, or the Boogie Down Productions, or the X Clans, the level of music that was playing, the level of consciousness that we're all about, that movement. I'm just seeing how the youth now, not level of the music, but the level of connection of mobilizing. The youth today are actually doing that. And they're actually spending young money within the spaces that they're in now. that I'm seeing. So if you have an idea or a product, you're going to get the support within young people. And that's a great thing to see. Because I didn't really have that growing up myself.
So with that being said, what do you think is the next step for the city of Toronto specifically? Like what do you think needs to change next or needs to change like the most?
Figuring a way how the older OGs or the people around, say, late 40s with the younger people, and how we can bridge the gap that we all can kind of mobilize together and talk that same story and figure out how can we do to move forward together instead of separate and different silos. I think that needs to be the ultimate goal. So for myself, I'm invested because like with the young organization like Rise, with Randall and Jay, the founder of it, like I committed to kind of being his mentor in a way of just helping him along the way. As much as he's getting advice from other people, I think that if you can kind of give back in those kind of natural ways, you can definitely be a part of moving forward within our community. So I think giving back to the youth is the key thing right now.
Cool. Now your work has been featured in several galleries, private events, as well as on TV, I believe, as well. So what's next for you? Like, what's that next big project on the horizon for you?
I tell you, then I have to kill you. But I haven't done a showcase in a while, so something is in the works. I am the kind of person that I don't like to say it too early. You always feel like you jinx yourself, kind of thing. But I promised myself I have to actually give back to the community. Last year we did a documentary with Rise with Louis Blanche called Within, and maybe at this at any time we can. I don't know. It's not. I think we're going to showcase it again. I don't know when, but we did it for Louis Blanche, and it got well reviews. People came to the movie. We had it at Scarborough Town Center, the documentary, and that was kind of, I guess, a segue of feeling like I got to do something more for Louis Blanche and actually be a part of that somehow.
Yeah, for sure.
That's something I would like to kind of tap my feet into. So,
sure, I definitely think that a lot of creative individuals, Black creative individuals, are getting into that space. It needs it. It needs it.
That diversity.
So that's something that's in the
works.
Kind of in the works. Every year for Rise, we do our 416 Rise in April.
Okay.
So
the next one's coming up next.
Yeah, April 27th. And so we're bringing in Lulu Fresh.
Okay.
Coming in from Baltimore. Phenomenal singer. If you guys know who she is, you need to check her out. Seriously. Yeah. She's done stuff with us at the NPR. She was on there, and she killed it.
that corner, what's it called? That series?
The series, but she
won. You went when they performed?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tiny Desk.
Yes.
That's what you were talking about.
If you check that out and check out Lulu Fresh.
I'm a big fan.
You a big fan? Check out Lulu Fresh.
It's done at, is that Howard University? Is that where they do it? Or
I have no idea. I got wind of that, and then when I saw, like, I knew of her, but just to see her perform in that kind of small space and hit it. I'm like, yo, I got to figure where to get her.
With a side note with that, that's when T-Pain shut everybody up. Was like, oh, he can't sing with autotune. When he came on that, everyone was like, okay.
T-Pain can sing!
He can hold a note.
Yeah.
One is talented. Yeah. So with that being said, you're known for your collaboration. So you had Dr. Carlos you worked with Nike, you worked with Converse, I think you mentioned. You also worked with Universal Music.
Oh, yeah. That was the days of I was burning a candle at both ends.
Yeah.
I was working at Much Music, and at the same time, as a graphic designer, I got with the music industry, you're able to kind of merge the thing because within Toronto, you figure your lane. So me being good at what I was doing web design and graphic designer, I got to connect with like people like Socks, Cardinal, Julie Black, Ghetto Concept, the list goes, the Rascals.
Right.
So I was involved in doing their branding for them. That they're hiring me to do all their packaging for them. So that opened the door a little bit more. And then that time, my nickname was Corrupt. So people think that's Corrupt. So anyway, it kind of have a timeline. with my name.
Right.
Like from Picasso, when I was an artist at '89, and the Brotherhood, I had bald heads because of the clothing line kind of thing. And then when I did Corrupt, people just knew me in the industry because people kind of forget my last name or my first name. Yeah. So, Corrupt kind of thing. They always thought it was Corrupt, the rapper, but it was the artist.
Right.
The graphic artist, not the artist. Corrupt. Right. So I kind of use this as building on people to remember who you are. So that was a good time because I was making good cash at that time because I was working and at the same time working for the record labels. So I was like, yeah.
So with that being said, who is that next collaboration for you? Like who, ideally, like who would you like who's on your hit list, like you'd really like to work with next?
Yeah. That's a good question. Honestly, it's just people that I feel that I gravitate to. Like with the whole thing with Mumu Fresh is a great person I can feel myself being of service for. Right. Dr. Carlos is pretty much that guy for me that I do all his branding for him. So anything on top of that, I don't know. It's a good question, but I just don't know. It's just one of those things that just happens. It works that way. Yeah. But it has to speak to creating things that are going to be timeless, man. Right. It's not for a gimmick. It's not for that quick cash. I'm not about that.
Right. That's beautiful. You can't compromise the art.
No, I can't. It's not. I never have because I would have been, or else I wouldn't be here where I am right now.
For sure. Talk to me about Inner City Angels.
Well, the community organization in Scarborough. It just, again, organically, I was doing stuff through the Toronto School Board, but I needed to be a part of an organization. And they opened arms. Jane Baker, great woman, and they allowed me to actually be a part of her organization. So they've been around for like 5 years. Well, they've been around for at least 30 years, 35 years in Scarborough in Toronto. And I kind of guess for myself getting involved with them and giving back to the kids and being storytellers, right? I want the kids, I feel that art is being removed out of the schools.
For sure, yeah.
And I feel I want to try to bring it back and just allowing kids to be creative or telling stories.
With that being said, I wanted to ask you, because I found that very interesting because, technology has changed our world so fast. And I find like now there's a huge focus on software and engineering, that field. And there's kind of like taking out money out of the arts, as you just mentioned. Why do you feel it's necessary to continue investment into the arts and culture?
I think just looking at kids get a little bit complacent. And I feel that the arts saved me. If I didn't have the arts, I know I wouldn't be that guy. I would have been that guy in jail or something. So I would have had another way of distractions of getting myself caught up. So
it saved your life.
It most definitely did. It was, everybody who knows me knows that it's two things. That I had a basketball in one hand and a portfolio in the other. So people just knew that one of those things has to happen for Mark. Right. And basketball didn't end the way I'd liked it to end, but I was able to take that sports element and tie it into the arts.
Transferable, as you mentioned.
Exactly. So I feel the arts, like I said, being removed. I just want kids to be creative, man. Being the level of technology, you still have to have the idea of what you want to create. Right. You can't just copy what the things are. You have to invent something. Yeah. I think outside of that box. I think being an artist allows you to push yourself, be uncomfortable in spaces, right?
Yeah. Talking about a lot of your work with the youth, you collaborating with Dr. Carlos, being the bridge, if you will, that 50-year bridge between Dr. Carlos and Colin Kaepernick. What do you want Toronto to remember you for?
This is going to be a timeless video here when I say this, Howie.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. I just want to be that guy who actually left his mark. Literally as my name. You know what I mean? I want to. I think Dr. Paul says it best when he told me it's like there's two things that guaranteed in life: is your birth and your death. There's that dash in between. That's those timelines is what you're going to really impact people. So whatever people remember me by, those memory moments, those timeless moments, is what people should. That's what I'm leaving behind. Something that's going to imprint them. That's it. If Mark could do it this way, I think I can do the same thing. Yeah. Right. And it's just being positive, man. Every Thursday, you get that quote. Stay consistent and be true to who you are. Stay true to your brand.
Yeah, actually, I forgot to talk about that. That third, I don't know who else is on that list, but I absolutely look forward to you. Like, you're like a Rev Run, you know.
Yeah.
You send that message every Thursday morning of just inspiration and encouragement, and it helps to keep the folks aligned. It's awesome. So for those that, talking directly to camera now, for those that are on that list, you're very fortunate people. You get those words of inspiration every Thursday. Actually, what made you start doing that?
It was funny enough. A friend of mine, Huggy.
Yeah.
He was doing it at that time. It wasn't texting; it was through email, and he was pretty consistent at setting up quotes. And then for some reason, he just kind of stopped doing it. I thought it was a great idea, kind of thing. And then I thought, you know what, let me just try it with a small core of people. And I kept building. I've been doing it for the last
a couple of years.
Yeah, at least over 10 years.
Wow.
At least being consistent every Thursday, hitting people off.
Yeah.
And finding quotes that I understand, because it gets me through my day. So if it helps me, I want to help somebody else.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking for a response. It'd be nice to get a response. But,
I felt like that was shady.
Give her a response.
no, but on a real note, it's not about the responses, but the people who you impact. There's some people I don't even communicate with, but they do a check and goes, "Yo, Mark," and I'm like, "Whoa, I actually talked to you," and they hit me back together.
Yeah.
That's what I quote.
Yeah.
So some of them may hit at the right time. It resonates to them.
For sure.
So for all the people out there that want to get in contact with you, they have an idea, they just want to get involved or reach out, like, what are the best ways to...
The handles?
Yeah, the handles.
Definitely the website. If you guys want to order some shirts, support a brother, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you still selling the classics?
Going to, not yet. There's other variables of stuff that's on the site.
I got to stock up on that.
The website is liwi68.com. That is literally where the acronym is. LIWI68. Dr. John Carlos' website is John Carlos 68, which is, I do his site. And I have my own personal site now, which is the Birthmark 50. Perfect. So those are the three handles. And then Instagram is LIWI68.
All right. So make sure we'll also include all those details in our description.
Yeah. So that wraps up this episode. No, you're on the hot seat, brother.
This is good, though. I think this is perfect.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Yeah, gracing us with some of this wisdom and just amazing Toronto talent, because that's what we're really about. Focusing on people that are doing remarkable things.
I got one more question, man.
I know you guys can leave that.
I have an OG question, because you gave me this. You got this OG presence right now on me, right? I'm gonna ask you a hip hop related question.
Oh, hip hop.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
This is a curveball. Okay. Who put Toronto on the map? Was it Cardinal Official or Drake? Or who do you think put Toronto on the map on a hip hop music level?
A hip hop musical level?
Mm-hmm. Like, who do you think put us on the map? Like, said, yeah, Toronto's there.
It's the foundation, right? So I'm going with two people who I know that set way to get opportunities for everybody else, and that has to be Miss Sheet to Maestro.
Yep.
Okay.
And those are the founding.
She's like,
yep.
She's clapping.
It's a debate that we have regularly.
Because to get what those guys are,
you have to have the foundation,
those are the
man.
people who actually put in the
You don't
work.
build a house from the roof down.
Okay, Mom. Okay, Mom.
Okay. Those days of concert hall there, I remember Missy and her performing and going to her performances.
Yeah,
the maestro from Lamb coming in this build with Farley.
Yeah.
Those are legacy moments that we appreciate, right? And then you get the Cardis, then you get like the Socrates. You know what I mean? And that's the next tier, right? And then you get the Drakes coming through, get benefiting from what the groundwork is, right? And I've been there, so I got to see everything. You know what I mean? So, and again, I have those guys who are good friends of mine.
Right. Well, I'm not going to argue with an OG, so I'm going to take the L. And we're going to leave it at that. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of A Different World Podcast. Please remember to check us out on YouTube at A Different World Podcast, and hit us up on our IG at ADW_podcast. That's where you can find us. Ange loves your DMs, so make sure you just hit her up all the time because she loves them. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and that's it.
All right,
we out. Peace and love.